All right. So yesterday we discussed about the supply chain management, where we are planning to create a POC for vendor registration and vendor onboarding, right? So um, so we created the application, and we see that there are certain objects that are being created by the Appian. So yeah, before we proceed, do you guys have any question? Anything you guys are practicing? I created the application. How about you, Venkat? Did you create the application? Started the application?
Yeah, I did that.
Okay. All right. All right. How about you, Siva? Did you create that application? Paul, how about you? Okay. So what I request, at least whatever we discuss, at least do that point of time, that much of things in your environment, so that you don't fall back, and we can continue. Okay. All right. So we created the applications, and then we thought of, like, okay, we'll start the application creating for the vendor registration. So what are the data points you think? If I want to create an application for a vendor registration, so what is the data model you will think about? When I say data model, it's like, what are the points we need, right, to capture? Anyone can start? What table we need? What attribute it with the table will have? Who can start? Let me share my screen quickly. You can say it. So first of all, the table name should be of our application. Start should be our application prefix, that is SCM, right? Yesterday we created, so we can have SCM underscore um, vendor registration, and this could be a table name. What are the columns you can think about it? Let me know. Tell me, guys. We can have vendor ID, right? It should be type of integer and primary, right? Yes, no. You guys can see my screen. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you're audible. The screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we discussed yesterday that what kind of application we are building, and then what do we need for that application, right? So we finalized the supply chain management application, right? And then we thought of creating a page for vendor registration. So if you are going to create a page for vendor registration, what are the attributes we will need, right? So let's say we are going to create one table called vendor SCM underscore vendor registrations, and what is the SCM? It is a prefix of our application, right? So that's what we are using. So what are the attributes we think we can have? So vendor ID, okay. What else? Anyone?
Product name,
Product name. So let's first bring the details of the vendor, right? What are the details you will require from a vendor?
vendor contact,
Vendor contact, okay. Yeah, we can have that. Vendor contact, maybe vendor email we will have. Let's say we'll have email, right? And it could be a
The
varchar.
contact number, address,
Contact we need, okay.
address,
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else?
product, name of
Product.
the product.
Okay. So we can have product, but product could be multiple, right? It's not like it can have
Yeah,
one product. So it can have a category. Let's say it's going to be category like called hardware, and then within the hardware we can have multiple products, right? Like keyboard, mouse, monitor, and drives, and all, right? So we have a category, right? Okay, what else? Think about it, guys. Don't even need the registration number of the vendor. Hmm. Right? Every vendor should have one
Vendor
registration
registration number,
number, right?
vendor GST number,
GST
and
number,
vendor
okay. Hmm.
contact number,
Contact number we have already added, okay. What else? It should have some name, right? Registered name, right? We can have vendor name. What else? If you ask the vendors to upload any documents, right? So we will require certain documents as well to be added, right? So let's say we can ask them to upload what do you say that certificates,
vendor
right? Like
official website details,
license certificates.
vendor, and vendor website details.
Website details, yeah, I mean that's fine, right? Website details, if you want, you can have many more details. I'm just like for the basic details, whatever is important to us, right? So let's say we will ask them to also provide a license certificate, which is kind of whenever they upload a document, it could be a kind of integer. So we are going to create a one vendor that should be the integer vendor ID, that should be the integer and auto increment primary key, and then we can have a registration number of the vendor, we can have the GST number of the vendor, vendor name, and then license certificates that they have to upload, and then email address, contact number, address, and then category like they are hardware, software, peripherals, those kind of categories will be there. And then we can have registered on, right? It should be a date like when this vendor has been registered with this system, and then vendor is active or not. Like even though if it has been registered, right now it is active or not, right? So this is the table attribute we can create for this vendor registration. Anyone think anything, any other attributes?
Verified.
That's a certificate, right? If they are providing
Uh,
you the license
yeah.
certificates, it means they are verified,
Okay.
right? So that's why we are asking for the certificate. Instead of registration number, we can call it as a license number. That would be more appropriate. So license number and license certificate. GST number, yeah, we can have the GST number. Okay, fine. So this is what the table attribute will have. So whenever we will design an interface for a vendor registration, we would require to capture all this information, right? So we can ask them, the vendor, to provide their license certificate, their all those other details. Once they will do that, they will upload. Okay, we could have this one, right? Status, like it's in it could not be registered when they submit, right? So it will go with the status wise. So let's say
Vendor PAN number.
so that's the GST number, right? Hmm?
No,
We are
no,
using.
GST number and PAN number the two are different.
Okay, so you want the PAN number, but that will be in the license certificate, right? The certificate they will upload, right there it will have everything. So what I was thinking for status, it means onboarding status of the vendor. So I'll say status, it could be a varchar. All right, so these are the attributes we can have for our vendor registration table, and when we design this, we should be displaying all this information, right? Okay, any question here, guys?
No.
All right, so let's go and first create the form, I mean table for this one. And as I said, right, if you would have used this data store entity and CDT type, which is not available now, what we will do is share the thing, but we'll go with the record approach, and we'll see that in the record approach, how do we create all these things? How do we create a table automatically? How the we can add a data and everything, right? Okay, so let me share my screen quickly for Appian. I hope you guys can see my screen. All right. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a new record type. I'll say the name as vendors, right? Uh, vendor details, vendor list. Okay, I'll say create. So as soon as I create the record, it will say, okay, you have two groups already available. One is the SCM user one, which is going to have the viewer role, and another is the administrator, which will have the admin role. So whoever user will put in these two groups accordingly. All right. Now the record window is open. It says right now that tell me about your data from where you want to connect with your record, right? So right now record is blank. It doesn't have any connections with any of the table. So it says tell me about your data. So when I click on that, now you can see that there are basically four kinds of record that we can create. First is the database record, another is the process record, third is the Salesforce, and then fourth is the web services. What does it mean? It means that the working behavior of the record will be same. It's just that in what are the data points of the record could be, right? The first could be the database, which is the mostly used record in Appian. Second is the processes. So processes is like whenever we execute the process models in the backend, right? It creates the process instances. So based on that process instances, also we can create a record of it. So only those process instance data will not remain into the system forever, right? So if you want to create a record only for a few time because the instance will be get deleted or archived, we can go and create this process type of record, which is very rarely used. Now the third one was introduced recently, Salesforce. Salesforce is like you can directly connect with your Salesforce account and you can bring the data, Salesforce data to your Appian, right? And the fourth they have given as a free, open web service. Like if you can create any APIs and from anywhere you can connect with your data and then you can create a record out of it. Okay, all the working mechanisms are same. It's just the data points are different. Now in our case, we do not have any table created yet because the database access is not there, so we cannot create a table. So how do we are going to create that table? So if you see here, it says I want to start from the scratch. It means I do not have a table itself. I do not have any data point. So what we'll do, we'll first create a table and then we will get the data out of it. So I'll select this option, new data model. So it will say that database table will be auto generated and data will be synced. Right, I hit next. It says that someone was asking for the data fabric, right? Your data will be automatically synced in the Appian. It enables faster performance and more powerful features than speed up your development, right? So as I said, right, using the record for all the database, all the other third-party data is called data fabric in Appian. It just seems like a very big topic, but it's not. Basically, they are using record instead of data store entity and everything. So that's why they name as a data fabric. All right, I'll say next. Now these are the four columns they have given. By default they used to give it. If you want, you can delete it. Let's say I'm gonna delete all these things. Right, I'll give the name as vendor ID. It's going to be number integer and it's going to be a primary key. Okay. Now whatever we discuss about, like we have license number. It could be a text, right? And then we talk about the GST number, vendor name. So we have GST number. I think also it's a varchar, right? vendor name, license certificate. So license certificate will put as a number integer. Why? Because the document that we upload will generate a document ID, and that ID will be number integer. So we are considering this license certificate as a number integer. Status, email, contact number. Status, email, mobile. You can say contact of mobile number. That should be a text. If we use +91 characters, we will use that. Okay, and then we will have address, category, registered on is active. Address, category, registered on, that should be a date, and then finally we will have is active, that should be a boolean, right? So all those columns we have added here, right? And now I can say next. Right now we have no relationship added to be added here. This is first record. I hit next. Now you see that create table statement is there now, and it also gives you the preview database script. If you want, you can click on that and then get your database script downloaded so that you can use it whenever you do the deployment, and then you have the save changes, right? So, and then they say that you can choose the security, which is we already did, but right now your table is created in the backend. You can't see it, but the table is being created in your backend already. Okay, and my table structure is ready. So what we did as of now, we created a record type of the name of SCM vendors, which has all this uh, you know columns created. Right now no relationship is being added, it is being created, no data is there, right? So table structure is ready. We can't see it for sure, yeah, but whenever we do certain actions like adding a new vendor, then we can see that. Any question till here, guys? So we are now not using this data type CDTs and data store, nothing is required. It's just simply we created a table using a record. Okay, any question? No? All right. If no question, then how do we design a form for a registration, right? I mean, whenever we design a form, we should be having the vendor. So it's a new vendor, right? So how do we do that? You can see on your left hand side, there are many options are available, right? Now, if you go to the actions tab, it says you need, if you want to add an action. So okay, there are two ways doing that. Either you can do it manually, I mean create all the interface manually and then process model manually and then add the record. Otherwise you can ask Appian to do your job, and then you can do the customization. So I'll say generate record action. There are two options: configure record action manually, and then other one is that generate the record actions, right? So I go with the generate record action so that Appian can create an action for me. Now it is giving you three options: create, update, and delete. Right now I just want to create, so I uncheck this two. Okay, I'll say generate. Now let's say, see that what action is going to do for you. You see, right now we have only 8 objects, right? As of now, let it complete. In the behind the scene, Appian is creating a process model for you, Appian is creating interface for you, and all those things is required to add a new vendor. Now you see that it's successfully created on one create vendor process model, and then everything is ready. Okay, if you go back here and then refresh, Now we have 10 items. So it created one interface object for you, and it also created one process model for you, and that action is ready. If you click on this icon, you see this icon, this will open the record. Now here you can see that right now we do not have any vendors, that's why it is blank. Now what do we have? We have an option of new vendor. Now based on the your data type you have selected for each one, it has created one simple interface for you. The license number, vendor name, status, mobile number, category, GST number, all these fields that we created that. Based on that, it has created a interface for you. Now, what do we need to do? We need to enhance this interface because we don't need to provide the value for status. It should be auto assigned status like in progress. We for the license certificate, it's right now it's the integer, so it's given the integer field, but we need to have a file upload here so that user can upload a file here so that we can capture that file and keep it on your database, the generated file ID, right? All those things we need to modify. So we can definitely do that. Before going that point, any question till here, guys? How do we create this record and how do we create an action quickly? Initially, it was taking a lot of time, but now Appian has enhanced a lot that you can quickly create everything. Any question till here? No question.
Database is created for this, like, or what we created was custom data type, right?
No, we haven't created the custom data type. That is it. We haven't created that at all. We
Okay,
just
what?
created a record from the scratch. So it created the data table in the backend,
Okay,
right? We are not using custom data type here anymore because Appian is
okay,
now saying that let's go with the data fabric and everything we can do in the record, right? So those options are not there. We have just created a record from the scratch, which created the table in the backend, and then we created one action for adding the new vendor. So that Appian has created one process model and interface for you automatically. Now we can customize it,
okay, okay, got it.
right? So this interface that they have created, right, Appian has created, right? We need to customize this because it's not that up to good mark, right? We need to do that. So I'm just canceling this process for now. If you go back to our application, we can open this interface code. Now you see that all these things has been designed here. So from where we need to start? License number is fine, right? I'm okay with the license number, it looks fine to me. Vendor name is also fine. Status, we don't need any status. Status should be assigned whenever we provide any value. I mean, submit the form, it should be as a in progress or in process, whatever status you wanted. So let's say we want to have certain status list. We will come to that. Now status, we don't need it, so we can remove this status code. I don't need this text field. Okay, the status is gone. Mobile is fine. Category should be a drop down. Like what is your category of your vendor? Like you are giving hardware, software, peripherals, and stationery and any other things, right? That's the category. It should be a drop down. Right now it's a text field. So let's start with the category. So if you want to define a list of things to be displayed in a category, right, we need to create a constant. So I'll go and create a new constant. One second. Huh? Okay, I'll give the name as and constant name should always be in capital. Okay, that's a Appian suggested best practice that whenever you create a constant, create it in a capital letter. So I'll say that vendors category. So this constant will have the list of categories that a vendor will provide service for. Okay, so what's the type it's going to be? Type is going to be text, and then we will have multiple values. So I'll say check this array, and then I'll say hardware, which will have softwares, we will have peripherals. Tell me guys, any other category? Peripherals will combine your stationery as well. We can have a vendor for medicines, or we can have simply called medicals. And what else? We can have cleaning services, right? Cleaning services. What else? What a company could hire for? Okay, let's go with this much. This okay. So we are going to create this constant which says that same vendor categories. This is a category we created, right? I'll say, and then you see that it's getting saved into the rule folder. I'll say create. Right. So one constant is being created which has a list of the category that we will use. Now you see that how we will change this category to the from text field drop down. First of all, this is a text field. We need to change this to the drop down. So whenever we use a drop down field, we need to provide certain things. First of all, the label is fine, label position is fine, and then we can have choice label. So choice label mention that what is the list you want to display whenever you select a drop down. So that choice label will be the same, the constant that we created. And how do we call a constant to be configured here? To use a constant, we use a prefix called cons bang, and then name of the constant scm vendors category. The number of choice labels and choice values should be same. So whatever we are displaying in the choice label, we should be capturing the same into a choice value. Okay. If it is not a text field, we should not be providing this character limit. So I'll remove this. Now, how do you know what are the parameters of this drop down are there, right? So you simply go to your description window, click inside of any of the function, and you will be able to see what are the parameters it has and detailed information of each parameter, what it does. Like I would need a placeholder. So you see there's a parameter called placeholder. So I simply can copy it and paste it here and then say, please select a category, right? And comma separated. So now you see that this particular category field, initially it was a text field, now it has been changed to the drop down. When you click on it, you will be able to see all the categories that we have listed into the constant. So that constant we are referring here to display the list of the object that we have. Any question here guys? How do we configure this drop down field? See, we don't write any code, we just do the configuration and it's there. Any question? No? Okay. So let's say if I'm going to select hardware, it will get captured. Now how it is getting captured? For that, each field of your interface code here, right? Each parameter, like you said, drop down field or text field or the checkbox field, what we're using, we also have two parameter called value and save into. You will see it here as well. You will see all the fields you have value and save into. Here also you will see the value and save into. What it means? Value and save into. Save into means that where you want to capture this value. So if you see here, we have created one role input of type of record. It the name is record. I'll come to this what the role input is. It's getting created by the Appian, so we couldn't explain you, but I'll come to that point. I have created one role input with the type of vendor, and this vendor is an I think as a record type. So we are saying that let's say for example of this category, we are saying that whatever user will select, please capture that into the record dot category. Okay, in the category field we need to capture this. So if you see here, for category we have hardware. Now if I go for the license number, let's say I'm going to say, if I put like this, you will see that license number also get, I have the same value whatever user is adding here. So this is a way that we can provide the values for all the fields and capture it into the variable. Right? This is a variable that is being created, and this variable is called rule input. Okay. Any question till here, guys? It's getting quite fast because Appian has created everything for us. When you will design the things from by yourself from the beginning, you will be able to see that it's take time. You have to design the interface and you have to do all those things. But before going there, till here, do you have any doubt here? I'll go with that from the scratch as well. I just wanted to show you that how quickly Appian can create a code for you, and you can just simply do the customization. See, if you guys don't interact, if you guys don't ask, it will be very boring, right? So please do. Any question, any doubt, if you have, please do ask. All right. So this is how we can also customize it. So now we need to customize this license certificate. Right now, license certificate is a free field, integer field, because the type is an integer. We need to convert this as a uh, you know file upload thing. So user can upload the file. If you want to bring this information somewhere else, also you can do that. If you want to change this, right now you see that it's having 2 columns. If you want to change this UI design into 3 columns, that is also you can do that. We will see all those things, right? So let's and whenever you make some changes, don't forget to save the changes, okay? Otherwise you will lose your information. Okay, now let's say right now this is being designed into the 2 column. I wanted to design into 3 columns. So how do we do that? So for that, Appian uses the columns layout. For each columns layout, we'll have multiple column layout. Inside this, you see there are 2 column layout. That's why we have seen the 2 parts. If I go and design one more column layout, right? So the UI will get divided into 3 columns. Okay, and then in the contains we can paste the things. So you see this one, right? I just given one blank column layout. So you see this one is blank now. Now what I'll do, I'll put license number and GST number all together in one column. So what I just have to do is that I'll take this field from here, Control X, and put it below the license number. Right now, license and GSTs are together. Now let's say I want email address, email and mobile, right, in one place. So let's say license certificate, and below the license certificate, let's have a category, or maybe, right, if you want to have the category, so I'll take the category and I'll put it below the license certificate. That should be in my second column. So I go here and second column, I'll put it here, right? So category, I move it here. Now the third column we'll use for email and mobile. So I'll take the email, Control X, the code, and put inside the third column. Same way, I'll take the mobile as well. Where's the mobile? Mobile is in my first now. I'll take the mobile out from here and put inside the third one. Right? So how our UI is right now? So it says license number, license certificate, email, GST number, category, and mobile. Now vendor name, address, and registered on. So let's say registered on, I have to move to the third column. So I'll take this registered on. And I'll put it inside the third column. Right? Now you see that it has moved here. Now our UI is divided into 3 columns. Right? So we save some space. Now is active is we don't need this is active, right? Because whenever we create, it should be remain as is active. So we can simply go and remove this field for now. We can simply set it while submitting the form. We can save it as a true by default. Oh, sorry, is active. Okay, so this is my form. I just customize it. Now the second customization is that we need to change this license certificate to the file upload. We'll do that. Before doing so, we also need to update some like GST number. It should be in capital, right? So we can also do that. So where's the GST number field? If you want, we can have GST number. right? Okay, any doubt till here, guys?
No doubts.
Okay, all right. For license certificate, if we are going to make this as a file upload, we need to have a folder where we will be uploading these certificates, right? Without a folder, a target value, that whatever file you are uploading, it should be at some place, right? We cannot upload any documents. So first of all, if you go here and you remember, inside the knowledge center, we created multiple documents. So we have two folders already created, artifacts and then epics and documentation. If you want to create more document folder, you can do that. That's not an issue. Let's say I'm going to create one more document folder. Sorry, new folder, and I'm going to create a document folder. I'll say vendor license certificates. Right? So this folder will hold the vendor license certificates. Right. So I'll create this folder. Now where it has been created? It has been created inside this documentation. I believe so. One second. I think it has been created. Knowledge center. Yeah, inside the knowledge center, we created one more document folder. So if you see now our application has three folders: application documentation, artifacts, and vendor license certificates. I wanted to have a separate folder for vendor license, so I created one. All right. Now this folder will hold all the certificates being uploaded by the vendors. Okay. So here, the license certificate. I'm going to change this field from integer field to the file upload. I'll use a bang file upload. Right. When you say file upload, it says label. So I can use the same label, license certificate. I can copy this. Label position, I can use the same. Okay. And then it says target. So whatever file will upload. Now how, from where I'm getting this all information? From here. So it says target. So where you want to upload your document. If I go and give this name, right, what it does, it says target. You see here, it has defined the type. It says document or folder, right? If I go and provide the name like this, will it understand where it has to upload? Yes, no? Can it, this one is, it cannot understand because this is a simple text, right? And what it is expecting, it is expecting a folder. So how do we define a folder here? So for that, we need to create a constant. We go and we create a constant and we give the name as scm folder underscore vendor license certificate. So this constant will hold the folder used for uploading license certificate. So what's the type it is going to be? Type is going to be folder. And what's the value for the folder? scm vendor license certificates. Copy this name, create. Now how do I refer a constant? How do I refer a constant? What is the prefix?
cons
Cons, right?
co.
Yeah, right. Right. Now you see this, it has become as a file upload, and we have given. Now how many number of files we are going to allow? I say max selection is only one. I'm going to allow only one file at a time to be uploaded. I can remove now save into. So we can copy this where it has to be saved, and then we have a
I'll,
required parameter. Go
is
ahead,
it
go ahead.
possible to add more files in that?
Right, yeah. If you say max like 5 or 6, it will allow you to upload 5 or 6 documents at a time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now this interface is almost ready. Now what we see, the one change we see that for the license certificate field, the required is true. When I say required is true, you see that there is a star mark is being added here. It means that this field is a mandatory. So wherever you want to say the field is mandatory and user has to provide the value, we will have to make this field as a true. So required true, right? License number is also required. I would say GST number is also required. Vendor name is also required, right? Um, I would say license certificate is required already. Category is required, so I'll just make as a true. Address is fine. Email is fine. Mobile is fine. Registration date, right? This is fine. Let's make this true as well. So wherever we make this required as a true, you will see that a star mark will be get added, which will say that these are the mandatory fields. If you click on the create, an out of box validation will appear without any code saying that these are the required fields. Please provide a value. A value is required. You see that only for those where we have marked as a required true, it will give it to you. So it's out of box. You don't have to write a code separately. Okay. Any question till here? No? All right. All right, then let's stop here, and then we'll see more because we have to update is active as a true, and then um, status, we add the status as well, right? We have to do all those things before we submit the form. So practice till here, create this interface, let Appian create it for you, and then you do some customizations, and then once we will able to submit the form, we'll see that this particular list will start having the values here. Okay. So we'll design the interface from the beginning. We'll see how the rule input works, what the variables we have. We'll see all those things. Don't worry about that. It's just initially I wanted to show you that how Appian create a code for you and you have to do nothing. Okay. Any question, guys? All right. If no, practice till here, and I think yeah. So practice till here, and then we can connect on Monday, and then we can proceed further. Okay. Let me know if you have any question. Okay. Thank you.